My dad is Santa Claus.
Oh, boy. I think what he means is I'm like Santa Claus. We're both giving, we're both jolly, and we both work very hard one day a year.
The Santa Claus is a 1994 Christmas fantasy comedy film directed by John Pasquin that would find large box office success and become known as a 1990s Christmas classic. Tim Allen stars as Scott Calvin, a 37-year-old marketing director for a toy company in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. Divorced from his ex-wife Laura, played by Wendy Crewson, he plans on spending Christmas Eve with his 8-year-old son Charlie, played by Lloyd. Scott wants Charlie to continue believing in Santa Claus, while Laura and her psychiatrist husband, Dr. Neil Miller, played by Judge Reinhold, stopped believing in Santa Claus at a young age and think it may be time for Charlie to do the same.
Oh, Charlie came home from school the other day in tears because some big kid told him there was no such thing as Santa. And you know, Neil, well, he sat him down and
You told him that there was a Santa Claus.
Well, all he said was that Santa was more like a feeling, more like a state of mind than a person.
Kind of like Neil. And who gave you permission to tell Charlie there's no Santa Claus? I think if we're going to destroy our son's illusions, I should be a part of it.
Yeah, but you're never around, are you, Scott?
Oh, please.
Listen, all we are trying to do is give Charlie a firm grasp on reality.
That's a good idea. You don't want kids running around using their imaginations.
Oh, yeah, this is from the guy responsible for the do-it-all-for-you dolly.
Leave her out of this.
Don't you burp me, don't you change me.
Why do you guys always have to fight?
I swear we're not fighting. It's your mom singing. Sounds a lot like fighting, doesn't it? Cats, even. The trouble is, Neil and your mom, they don't believe in Santa because they were real naughty, which is why they'll probably get lumps of coal in their stockings.
After Scott burns the turkey, he and Charlie can only find dinner at a Denny's. Afterwards, Scott puts Charlie to sleep by reading him The Night Before Christmas.
What's that?
What's what?
A rose such a ladder?
It's not a ladder. I said a rose such a clatter. It means came a big noise.
What?
Charlie, a rose is a word that means it came, and clatter is a big noise. Now please go to sleep. Shut your eyes.
If Santa's so fat, how does he get down the chimneys?
He sucks it in like Grandpa.
But what about people who don't have fireplaces? How does he get into their house?
Charlie, sometimes believing in something means you just believe in it. Santa uses reindeer to fly because that's how he has to get around.
But you do believe in Santa, right, Dad?
Of course I believe in Santa. Please go to sleep.
After going to sleep, they are awakened by a noise on the roof.
Dad!
What?
I heard a clatter.
What, Charlie?
There, a clatter!
Charlie, what are you talking about?
I don't know, it came a big noise. It's coming from outside.
Charlie, it's just the wind or something. Come on, let's go back to bed. Somebody's on the roof.
Maybe it's Santa.
Not now, Charlie.
Scott heads outside, startling a man in a Santa suit, causing him to fall off the roof and die.
Hey, you!
What's that? Whoa,
You got him!
Charlie, stay where you are. Charlie, would you listen to me? Stay up there.
It is Santa. You killed him.
Did not. And he's not Santa.
Well, he was.
The body soon vanishes, with a business card left behind saying that if anything happened to him, someone should put on the suit and the reindeer will know what to do. Finding a sleigh and reindeer on his roof, Charlie pressures his father to put on the red suit.
This thing, you never know where it's been. 1,000 malls. Well, how do I look? Nice?
Magic occurs as the sleigh takes off, and Scott reluctantly finds himself with the task of delivering presents on Christmas Eve.
Santa?
Scott Calvin.
How come your clothes are so baggy?
Because Santa is watching his saturated fats.
How come you don't have a beard?
Because I shaved. Do you want this doll or not? Go back to sleep.
The two wind up at the North Pole and meet the head elf Bernard, played by David Krumholtz. Bernard informs Scott that by putting on the suit, Scott is now legally bound by the Santa Claus.
I am not Santa Claus.
Ah. Did you or did you not read the card?
Yeah, I read the card.
Then you're the new Santa. Here.
The Santa Claus? Oh, you mean the guy that fell off my roof?
No, not Santa Claus the person, Santa Claus the clause.
What?
Look, you're a businessman, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A clause, as in the last line of a contract, means you put on the suit, you're the big guy.
Bernard tells Scott that he has 11 months to get his affairs in order and must report back to the North Pole next Thanksgiving. Scott awakens Christmas morning with an ecstatic Charlie telling his mother and Neil about the trip to the North Pole. Scott chalks it up to a very lucid dream, but finds himself wearing the red pajamas given to him at the North Pole.
Dad took me to the North Pole, and Larry showed me the workshop.
The North Pole?
Yeah, Dad's the new Santa. The regular Santa fell off the roof, and Dad put on the suit.
Charlie, we'll discuss this at home.
Claus. Santa Claus.
Trying to get back to normal, Scott, Laura, and Neil become concerned when Charlie becomes overly obsessed with Christmas.
Scott, can I have a minute?
Sure.
I think Charlie is conflicted at the moment.
Appreciate your analysis, I really do. Boy, you got more important things to worry about, you know? Like where are you going to get more sweaters after the circus pulls out of town?
Scott, you're not listening. We are very concerned about this.
Concerned about what?
If Charlie spending time with you is the best thing for him. You were right about the sweater. Okay.
Eventually, Scott asks Charlie to just keep their trip to the North Pole a secret between the two of them.
Charlie, there is no...
No what, Dad?
There's no reason why we have to tell anybody about the North Pole.
As the new year arrives, Scott begins to undergo physical changes, as well as a change in his personality, bewildering his boss, Mr. Whittle, played by Peter Boyle.
You're starting to look like the Pillsbury Doughboy. You're falling apart.
I know. I don't know what came over me.
Well, just get some help, you know? You should see a doctor, a shrink, a dietitian, anything. Just get some help.
After his doctor tells him that he is healthy and just needs to diet, he soon finds himself receiving a naughty and nice list from the North Pole, and Scott begins to recount naughty and nice children by name when he sees them in person.
Annie, nice.
Beep!
Johnny, naughty.
Johnny, wait up!
Gary, nice. Veronica, very nice.
In your dreams, Playboy.
Over time, he continues to magically transform into Santa Claus.
I'm in big trouble.
Assuming Scott is doing this just to try and deliberately mislead Charlie, Laura and Neil decide to go to a judge to try and suspend Scott's visitation rights. As Christmas fast approaches, Scott must come to terms with seeing his son and becoming Santa Claus. This film was originally going to be released by Hollywood Pictures, but after a positive reaction from test screenings among children, it was shifted to a Walt Disney Pictures release. The role of Scott Calvin was written with Bill Murray in mind. After Bill Murray read the script and was offered the lead role, he declined, saying that he didn't think it suited his humor. This was the first lead film role for Tim Allen. Tim Allen had a criminal record, and Disney had a strict no-hiring policy for ex-cons. They made an exception for Tim Allen. Tim Allen underwent 4 to 5 hours of makeup and prosthetic applications to transform himself into Santa, and had to wear multiple fat suits during filming, which took place in the middle of summer. Due to the latex, Allen experienced heat rashes, scars, scratches, and infections. There was a time limit on how long he could be in the suit while filming, maxing out at 6 hours because of the poor ventilation. Jeff Daniels, Peter McNichol, John Ritter, Christopher McDonald, Steve Guttenberg, Rick Moranis, Stanley Tucci, and Bradley Whitford were all considered for the role of Dr. Neil Miller. Andy McDowell, Nicole Kidman, and Renee Zellweger auditioned for the role of Laura Miller. Filming took place in Toronto, Canada from April to July of 1994. In the scene of the tour of Santa's workshop, Scott Calvin tries out a tool belt and then shakes his head as if to indicate that tools aren't for him. This is a reference to Tim Allen's then hit ABC television series Home Improvement and his character Tim the Toolman Taylor. When Charlie and the new Santa return to the North Pole for the new Christmas, Bernard introduces the tech-savvy elf Quentin, who proceeds to tell Santa about all the new gadgets on his sleigh. This was a nod to the James Bond character, Q. On older releases of this film, including the VHS tape that I had as a kid, Tim Allen made a sarcastic remark in the movie which included the line, 1-800-SPANK-ME.
Neil's mom's number in case.
1-800-SPANK-ME. I know that number.
And a Merry Christmas to you too.
During the film's release, a woman from Cleveland, Ohio called the supposedly fictional number for her curious grandchildren. It turned out to be a phone sex line. However, it wasn't until 1997, when Disney received complaints from parents whose children had called the number and racked up huge phone bills, that the studio finally took action and cut the line for future releases. Disney also said that they would purchase the phone number to disconnect the service. This part of the film is also cut in the DVD releases and on Disney+. However, by the early 2020s, some versions have this line reinstated. On television broadcasts, the number is changed to 1-800-POUND. I don't know if that's any better. The dance that Tim Allen, Eric Lloyd, David Krumholtz, and some of the elves do to ZZ Top's Gimme All Your Lovin' during the montage was improvised and done in one take. The director kept it in because he thought it was so good. If you look closely, you can see several portraits of presumably past Santas on the wall of Santa's bedroom. This shows that this is not the first time that the reins have changed hands, confirming that this film's main plot point treats Santa Claus more like the President of the United States, with successors, rather than most Christmas stories that show Santa as the same person forever. When Scott Calvin steps on the scale to check his weight, it reads 192. This was a reference to the Mel Torme Christmas hit, The Christmas Song, which says to kids from 1 to 92. When Scott Calvin is giving alternative names for Santa Claus to the police officer in the interrogation scene, Scott imitates Ed Sullivan when he says the last name Topo Gigio.
I say name, you say Scott Calvin. Name.
Kris Kringle.
Name.
Sinterklaas.
Name.
Père Noël. Babbo Natale. Père Nicole.
Topo Gigio.
Which is not a name for Santa Claus, but actually the name of a small Italian mouse puppet that appeared many times on the Ed Sullivan Show in the 1960s.
And for my American paisans, here back on our stage is our little Italian mouse, Topo Gigio. So let's have a nice welcome.
The Santa Claus was released into theaters on November 11th, 1994, and grossed a total of $190.3 million, making it a major hit and among the top 5 highest-grossing films of 1994. For 1 week in November 1994, Tim Allen had the number 1 movie at the box office, the number 1 rated television show, and the number 1 book on the New York Times bestsellers list. In November 1994, Tim Allen was literally on top of the world. We owned this movie on a VHS tape when it came out on video in 1995, and it became a Christmas classic for my family. We weren't the only ones. This film gained in popularity as a holiday classic as soon as it came out, and spawned sequels in the 2000s and a television series in the 2020s. This is a really entertaining film, really well made. It's got a lot of heart, good Christmas cheer. Due to its iconic status as a Christmas classic, I'll go ahead and give 10 stars to the 1994 hit film, The Santa Claus.